Hello everybody, welcome back to Cooking with Grandma. And today this recipe is for one of my viewers, Sarah. She saw last week's video on carrot cake bars and asked if I could make a easy chicken recipe. She had first asked about a pierogi recipe, then she realized I did that a while ago, quite a long time ago, like almost 2 years ago now, and she was scrolling through and she found that one. So then she posted another comment, asked if I could make an easy chicken dish, and this is what we're going to make tonight. This is called chicken divan with broccoli and rice. Now it does call for frozen broccoli florets. I don't buy frozen vegetables, I just buy fresh. So you can use either one, it doesn't matter. You cook it, you still have to cook it. So I've already cooked my broccoli. It's just cook it and then drain it well, and then you put it in the bottom of your 9x13 pan. Now I'm going to give you the recipe as written, but I'm adding a little extra ingredients because this says serves 4 to 6, and I have 7 people to feed, and sometimes you want a little bit more than, you can't really judge portions, right? So I've cooked my broccoli. I've already cooked my rice. You do not want to use minute rice in this because it will get quite mushy. Because it has to bake in the oven for like 25 minutes. And minute rice, you take it off, you cook it for 5 minutes, and you take it off the stove, and it's done. So it's already cooked, but it'll overcook if you use it in the oven. So I'm using regular long green rice. It's very easy to make. You put, it's a cup of water to a half a cup of rice. So I did extra, so I did 2.5 cups of water and 1.5 cups of rice. You let it bring the water to a boil, put your rice in, turn it down into just a very low heat, and let it sit for, stir it once, leave it alone, put a top on it and leave it alone for 15 to 20 minutes. After 15 minutes, take the top off, give it a stir, see if all the water has absorbed, and if not, put it back on. And just check every couple minutes from then on, but it's pretty easy to do. It took me a while to master how to make rice. I'd either get it too soft, too hard, not cooked enough, too cooked, too sticky, but anyway, it's a little practice. I got it. It didn't take much. So you put your broccoli, you cook that and drain it and put it in your baking pan. And now it says for 1 cup of shredded cheese divided, so that means you use part now and part later. So you take half of the cheese and you sprinkle it over top of your broccoli. And I've also got my cubed chicken. I cut up my chicken, cubed it, and that's cooking in my pan right now. Just save that step for, help get out of the way a little bit. The prep time in this is like, I think it said 10 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe not even. Let's see, I'll go back to my prep time is 10 minutes, cook time is 30. Although when it gets down to it, it's at 20 to 25, so give or take. So, it's easy. It's got ingredients that most everybody has at home. It's not gonna make it that hard. So, okay, so I've got the broccoli cooked and drained and in my dish. Then I covered it with half the cheese. Now to this, we're gonna top it with the cubed chicken and then season it with salt and pepper. So I'm just gonna give my chicken another little stir. Now, some of this chicken is not done all the way, but it's alright because it's going to bake in the oven, so it will finish cooking. And that might be where the extra time comes in. Like if it says 25 minutes, but it takes 20 minutes, but it might take 25 to finish, because you want to make sure your chicken is totally cooked through. So I'm just going to spread this on all over the topping. And I did use extra chicken. It called for let me just go back down here. It called for 2 to 3 cups, and I used almost 4. Like I said, I wanted to make a little extra. So it will be a little more of everything. When I measured out my cheese, and the broccoli is the only thing I didn't do extra of because I had 1 head of broccoli, and I just chopped it up super fine to kind of stretch it a little bit. But everything else I'm adding just a bit more than it calls for. So half a cup more chicken, half a cup or so, a cup more chicken, half a cup more rice, that kind of thing. And then the sauce that we make, it's going to be just, it calls for a cup of sour cream. I've got a little bit more than a cup. I've kind of mounded it up, so it's probably like a cup and a fourth, give or take. I will put the recipe as is written, and this recipe is from spruceeats.com. They've got really, really good recipes. It's not a lot of fuss and bother. Some of them are a little more time sensitive. It takes a little bit more time to do, but other than that, it's really good. So I put the chicken in there. Now I'm just going to season it with the salt and pepper. It says a teaspoon, so I'm just, you know, going back and forth over the whole thing and covering it all with salt and pepper. This is to taste. Like, if you like more or less, more salt and less pepper, less salt, more pepper, go for it. It's one of those kind of forgiving recipes, you know, you can kind of switch things up, the frozen versus fresh, you know, the chicken kind of thing. Okay, so now on top of this, now we're going to add our cooked rice. I'm going to take that out of the pan, and you put that right over top of your cooked chicken. A little bit of stir. When you cook rice like this, it does kind of clump together. It's sticky sort of. So you just kind of loosen it up. And now we're going to put that right on top of our chicken. I'm going to spread it out. You want everything covered. This is going to make a lot. I should have, maybe I was thinking of actually splitting it into 2 pans, making a small one that my son can take home, and then having another one for the rest of us. But I'm just going to go ahead and see if it all fits in here. The only thing left is the sauce, so it's not gonna, it shouldn't go over. And if it seems like it's gonna be too much, then I'll just take some of this out and put it into another little pan. Although when you do that, when you have a layered dish like this and you take some out, you take it out, it kind of messes up your layers. You'd have to be like super, super careful. So there we go, there's our rice. Get it all out of the pan here. There. I probably made a little bit more rice than I needed, but it's okay because it's spread over very nicely. Okay. Pan aside. Now to that, we're going to take a saucepan and we're going to melt some butter over some low heat. We're going to make a little bit of a sauce. So I'm going to set this guy out of the way. Get my saucepan out. Bring this over here so you can see what I'm doing. Here we go. And now we have to melt 2 tablespoons of butter. It's almost like you're making a white sauce or a cheese sauce. It's the same idea as making a creamy sauce. It's just that you're not putting cheese in it, and you're not putting, it's not going to be a bechamel. It's not going to be a cheese sauce. It's going to be a white sauce with a little twist. So I got that on my pan. Give that a second to melt. And we need 2 tablespoons of flour. Whenever you make a white sauce, flour and butter is the same. 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of butter. It's always the same amount. That way it makes your little paste sort of thing at the bottom, and then you add it. That's melting. I'm going to get my whisk down. So I just have to scroll back down. I'm looking on my tablet for the directions and the ingredients, so I have to kind of keep going back and forth to get instructions and then amounts. So we melt the butter, and then we're going to blend in the flour and add the milk and cook until it's thick, and then we're going to remove it from the heat and add our other ingredients. So I'll turn this heat down a little. Butter's melted, so I'm going to add in my 2 tablespoons of flour. And we're going to just give this a good whisk until it's all incorporated. Making white sauce or cheese sauce is super easy. Like, this is your basis for it. It's called a roux. It's flour and butter. And that's what it looks like. It's a nice, and you want it nice and creamy and smooth. You don't want clumps. You don't want big blobs of flour. You want it nice and mixed in. So when you put your milk in, it's going to be creamy. Okay, so it calls for 1 cup of milk. I'm using just a little bit more because, like I said, I'm making adding a little bit more of everything. So you're going to give this a stir. This is all you do for to make a sauce, a white sauce. You put the milk and the butter. Now, if this was thickened and if I was making a cheese sauce, I would add like a cup or so of grated cheddar cheese, or like add different blends of cheese, cheddar, mozzarella. Don't use Parmesan. I tried it. It's nasty. I had to dump it all out and throw it again. That was one of my uh-ohs in the kitchen. I thought I'd make 3 cheese sauce. And I put mozzarella and cheddar and Parmesan. No, it tasted horrible. And the Parmesan, unless you're using fresh, which I don't buy because it's like $20 a pound, I use the stuff that shakes out of a bottle that you get in the pizza aisle, in the spaghetti sauce aisle. It doesn't really melt, and it just got, it wasn't good. So, unfortunately, it was, you know what, that's trial by error. That's how you learn, by making mistakes. You can't, any cook out there, people that have published cookbooks or recipes online, you try it, and if it doesn't work, then you don't, you fix what's wrong, and you keep going. So, if you're making a cheese sauce, this is what you do. It is a little tedious because you do have to keep stirring it pretty much non-stop until, you can let go for a minute, but if you sort of forget for a minute and don't go back into it, it gets real thick and gloppy, and then you're adding more milk to thin it out, and then it's like, forget it. Start over. So, yeah, we're just going to give it a little stir. It's getting thick already. It doesn't take very long. This takes a couple of minutes. Check it with a spoon every so often. You can go from the whisk once it's nice and smooth to just stirring with a spoon. And if you stir, I don't know why, I learned this from watching a cooking show and it works. If you stir in the figure 8, if you go around, it gets around your pan everywhere. But it also, for some reason, speeds up the thickening time. I don't know why. I guess because you're covering, instead of just going around and round, you're covering such a large surface in your pan. So you're incorporating everything. So it's already getting thick. You want it nice. You don't want it gloppy thick. You just want it creamy thick. And it's just about done. I'm gonna move all this stuff out of my way because you have to take it off the heat. And then when it's done, we're going to stir in the lemon juice, and we're going to fold in the sour cream. I'm going to scroll back up to my ingredient list and get my measurements. Okay. I'm just going to give this another minute to make sure it's nice and creamy, because if you take this off the heat and go to put it back on, it kind of messes up your cook. And cream sauce, it's easy to make, but it's picky. And you have to be super careful there. See how nice that is? How thick that is? That's it. We're going to take it off the burner. Move this back over here. And I'm going to shut the burner off. And we're going to just, there. You can see how velvety smooth that is, how creamy. And it's not stuck to the bottom of the pan. It's just very, very creamy and very nice. Now, instead of making a cheese sauce, we're just making, this is going to be like with white sauce. So now we have to add in 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Stir that in. There we go. Stir that into it. And then it says to fold in your sour cream. So instead of cheese, we're going to put sour cream, and that's going to just make our nice little sauce. So, okay, bubbles, lemon juice, fold in the sour cream. Okay, so this recipe is almost done. Like this, there's like 2 more steps left. That's how easy it is, and it's quick, easy, and most of these ingredients you have, or it's easy to get. You know, the broccoli is the only thing that's your choice. If you like frozen vegetables, go for it. Cook your broccoli from the frozen state and then line your pan with it, or buy fresh broccoli and cook it. It doesn't matter. It's going to taste the same. I'm not a fan of frozen vegetables, so, you know, I just buy fresh when I can. Canned when I can't. Obviously, you can't get canned broccoli, but, you know, fresh broccoli is available all year round. There we go, and that is your sauce. I'm going to set this aside for a second and bring back our casserole dish. Now this gets poured over top of the rice and chicken and broccoli. See how nice and rich and creamy that is pouring out of that pan. Okay, I'm just going to spread it out so it covers the whole top. And this was actually just enough. I made that little bit extra and it worked out perfectly. And it doesn't look like it's going to overflow, but when I cook this, I will put it on a cookie sheet just in case it bubbles over. You put something like this on a cookie sheet, it saves a whole lot of cleanup in your oven. It's a lot easier to wash a cookie sheet than it is to scrub your oven. Done that before. Everybody has, I'm sure. And then you just put the rest of the cheese on top. And I'm going to get a little bit more of the shredded cheese. It wasn't quite enough. I normally just buy blocks of cheese and shred it when I need it. A friend of ours went to Costco and they have big bags of pre-shredded cheese that were quite a reasonable price. Normally in the stores it's quite expensive, so I never buy it. It's way more expensive than it would be to buy a block of cheese. And then, cheddar cheese, you can't use it for anything else except recipes like this or cheese sauce, because if you buy the block of cheese, you can cut it and slice it to make a grilled cheese sandwich or just a regular cheese sandwich or other things that you want to do with cheese, but you don't want it shredded. So, but because this was a good price, and why not, we'll get it. So there we go. We're going to cover this nicely with the shredded cheese, and we're going to bake it in the oven for 20 minutes. You see how that looks after 20 minutes? We can always add a little bit more time after. So, there we go. Alright, I believe that's what it said. Put the cheese bake, well, it says 400 for 15 to 20 minutes. Mine would burn in 20 minutes because I have the oven with the energy saver guide, so 350 is the highest I ever put my oven. I'm going to put it on my cooking sheet and pop it in. I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes and meet you back here then and show you what the results are. Okay, welcome back. I just took my casserole out of the oven and it was in for almost 30 minutes because I kind of poked it through and checked on my chicken, and it did take a bit longer to cook. Then, like I said, their recommendation was 400 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. I do mine at 350, so took an extra 5 to 10 minutes. That's okay. So that's what it looks like. It looks really, really yummy. Nice and white and creamy with the cheese sauce. So I'm going to scoop some out just to see what it's like with that broccoli on the bottom, the chicken and the rice in the middle, then the chicken on top, and then the sauce. And get that nice portion out of there. This looks yummy. And there is what is for supper tonight. Creamy, let me get the proper name for you. It is chicken divan with broccoli. I'm just scrolling down to make sure. Chicken divan with broccoli and rice. So there is the picture of what it looks like there. And here is mine. So it's pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. There's the broccoli well, that's when it's cut on a plate too, so the broccoli shows a bit more than but I did taste that creamy sauce, and I'm going to change up the whole way I make cheese sauce from now on. I'm going to add the sour cream in there and a little bit of lemon juice. That was amazing. It tasted so good. It just gave the sauce a whole richness and more flavor, because cheese sauce, white sauce, is very bland. You know, you put salt and pepper and whatever in it, but you need to add something to it to make it flavorful. And the sour cream did it. I'm going to definitely use that whenever I make cheese sauce again. So, Sarah, I hope you enjoy chicken divan with broccoli and rice. Let me know in the comments if you've tried it, how it worked out for you, and how your family liked it, how your kids liked it. And yeah, have everybody stay safe. I will post this video with the recipe as written. I added a few more ingredients here and there, but like I said, you can just add more or less. Fresh broccoli versus frozen broccoli, it's whatever your choice is, it all works. So have a good day, stay safe everybody. Soon this lockdown will be over, hopefully, and we can get back to a normal, sort of normal life and be able to see our families again. Take care, bye now.